located. So I'm Tara Hall. I'm with Voices for Healthy Kids, and we administer the National Collaborative for Infants and Toddlers. I'm based in Tampa, Florida. And I'm on the communications team, communications and grassroots. My specific role is Senior Marketing Communications Manager. So go ahead and just give us a quick roll count. Tell us where you're from, your position, your name, and I'll go ahead and get started. So before I jump into the content, I want to give you an idea of what you can expect from today. The session really is about taking a step back and thinking strategically about how we communicate, not just what we're advocating for. So with that, I'm going to dive into strong families, strong communities, how to use the PN3 messaging research that we have been working really hard to gather for you and hopefully present today in a way that's really easy to understand and actually put into practice. So a bit of background information. Over the last year, National Collaborative for Infants and Toddlers and Voices for Healthy Kids have conducted comprehensive qualitative and quantitative research. We've done work with focus groups, a national survey, and in-depth interviews with policymakers on communicating the case for prenatal to 3 policies. And we're excited to share the full findings with you today. Now, you're going to hear some acronyms throughout this presentation. One is PN3. That's just the abbreviated prenatal to 3. It means people who are expecting parents up to parents who have a child of the age of 3, but really includes expecting parents, babies, and toddlers. Now, amid a shifting political landscape, new narratives, and expanding policy priorities, this research provides prenatal to 3 advocates with the language and insights they need to meet the moment. Some of these findings are going to feel challenging. I just want to level set that from the beginning because they don't suggest you say what you really want to say. Sometimes you want to go in those meetings and just lay your heart out on the table. And it can feel like you're not being true to yourself when you can't say what you want to say. I want to acknowledge that up front with you guys and say, yes, we recognize some of these messages, some of these frames are going to feel that way. It's really the inherent struggle with message research about moving policy. What works, what we know works, what the research tells us works, versus what we actually want to say. And that's where finding commonalities will come in. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. And building the trust to have real conversations. I acknowledge that tension is real. It's an internal struggle for sure. And we're going to work through it together today so that way hopefully you can come out of this feeling like you've got the way to say the messages without leaving too much, on the sideline as far as what it is that you want to say. Now, if you want to go further into the data and research, we do have another recording, and it really breaks down the nitty-gritty, those details. So if you're a data-minded person and you really love reading about that or listening in on that, in our follow-up email, we'll include a link to the recording and those slides where you can really see how respondents answered. This is going to be less of that. This is more of a tool to provide you with the message framing that you're going to need. So before we go any further, we want to hear from you. We're going to launch a quick poll to get a sense of how everyone's feeling today. So when you think about the messages that you're putting together for the prenatal to 3 space, how confident do you feel in tailoring those messages, especially for skeptical lawmakers? Very confident, somewhat confident, or not confident at all? And these are anonymous. We're just curious. We just kind of want to know, how are you feeling? What is your confidence level? So looking like most people feel somewhat confident. I hope that by the end of today, once you can gather this information and maybe even put some of it into practice, once you put pen to paper, I'm hoping some of you are going to move from that somewhat confident back over to that very confident. So regardless of how you answer, today really is all about focusing on what we learned from the research and how you can apply the knowledge. Now, the guide is going to offer research-informed messaging and communication strategies that equip prenatal to 3 advocates to elevate the importance of early childhood issues and increase support among policy leaders. You're going to use these messages and strategies in all kinds of environments: legislative conversations, hearings, testimony, policy briefings, and then also hopefully you can use them in the written materials that you're putting together, like one-pagers, talking points, and public-facing communications. The guidance helps prenatal to 3 advocates make a compelling case for policies and solutions that strengthen families and improve young children's well-being. And research shows us that these frames, messages, and proof points resonate across diverse audiences and political perspectives. Yes, including some of those conservative lawmakers you're trying to bring to your side, and maybe the more progressive ones you already have on your side. Now, the good news is we have years of prenatal to three advocacy experience and work and policy passage, and it's paid off. The public already believes the pregnancy to age 3 period matters. The challenge is now moving the decision makers from agreement, they agree with us, this period matters, into action. And that means passing those policies we know they need to pass to improve lives. This isn't about persuasion basics. Most people already agree that these early years matter. It's really about the challenge of turning agreement into that action. Next slide, please. So let's start with what the research is telling us. Across voters, parents, and lawmakers, across whatever the political party or ideology is, 87% of people believe the prenatal to three period is critical to children's health, learning, and development. At the same time, about half think we're falling short, and only about 1 in 4 believe their community has strong enough support for families with babies and toddlers. Roughly 2/3, and this includes Republican lawmakers, say government should be doing more, but, and I have to say this is key, how we frame that role makes or breaks the support. So if you could, again, we're going to ask you in the chat, get your fingers warmed up. In your state, where do you most often see that support breaking down? Is it in funding? Is it in feasibility? Is it in the role of government, or is it something else? Where is it breaking down? Where is it that, we have it in our minds that this is an important age that we need to be looking after and supporting, but we don't have the policies to support it? So tell us in the chat, and this will just kind of help us as we think of resources moving forward, ways to support you as an NCIT member, as a Voices for Healthy Kids grantee, or as just someone in the advocacy space. So the opportunity here is real. Our job is to be intentional and disciplined in how we show up and how we communicate. So what does that look like? Let's go to that next slide. Now, across audiences, one idea consistently rises to the top, and I think you guys already know what it is. Strong families are the foundation to strong communities. This is a message I think most of us are using. I see it in your work when I'm working with our grantees, when I'm working with members, when I'm helping you craft communications materials. You may not say it that blatantly, but you are saying it. Strong families are the foundation to strong communities. That is a foundational starting point when we're trying to talk to lawmakers or other decision makers to bring them on our side. Now, this is a core narrative. It's the broadest tent we have, and we know it works. And it works because, number one, it acknowledges the real pressures families are facing. Rising childcare costs, rising housing costs, rising healthcare costs, and rising basic necessities. And, like I said, we put this research together over a period of the last year, and that was even before this latest gas crisis, which has the cost rising even more than it already was. So families are even feeling the pressure more than when we started this research. Number two, it makes it clear that parents are doing their best and that the struggles are not about personal failure, not about parental failure, but about systems falling short, those systems not supporting parents the way they really could be. And number three, it positions government as a supportive partner, not a replacement for parents. This is foundational for more conservative lawmakers who don't want to see big government coming in and being the role of parents. So when we talk about passing policy, keep in mind that strong families are the foundation to strong communities. Make every point that you try to make come back to that. And this is all really important. The framing consistently lowers resistance, especially with moderates and conservatives, while still aligning with equity and justice goals, those equity and justice goals that we really all care about. So let's go to the next slide. So the research points us to 3 message frames you can use depending on the audience. And that's what's really cool is so you get your basic message, which is, strong families equal strong communities. And then you can get a little more specific by using one of these 3 frames. So think of them as tools you can pick up depending on who you're talking to and tailor it for that. So strong families, strong communities This is the best default frame, and this is the one that I really like the most. It's especially effective with legislators, cross-partisan coalitions, and skeptical audiences. And you can read more about that on this slide if that's the one that resonates with you. Otherwise, again, we'll follow up with this with an email, and you'll be able to read do a deeper dive into what each of these really means. Next is the economy workforce, and this is ideal for childcare, paid leave, workforce shortages, and this resonates with business leaders and fiscally focused policymakers. And then that last bucket is every child deserves a strong start. This is the most values driven. It's powerful for public engagement and people who are movable toward greater government action. What's important is that these frames reinforce one another rather than pulling you in different directions. So you can use one, you can use all three as a nice solid support for whatever your argument is. So I'm curious, I told you which one I liked. Which one do you like? Which one do you think would work for you in whatever you're working on right now? What would you rely on most today? And what would you use least? And again, those are the strong families, strong communities, economy workforce, or every child deserves a strong start. And while you're putting those in the chat, let's head over to the next slide. And like I said, it depends on the audience I'm trying to reach. Obviously, I'm going to tailor my message working in comms. We're constantly critiquing and trying to get that perfect fit for whoever we're trying to reach. But in my work, the strong families, strong communities framing really resonates with me because it meets people where they are. And that's what it's all about, right? Is meeting them where they are, finding that common ground where we can start so we can work together to build on the policy we want to see changed. Now, as much as this guide helps us figure out what to say, it also gives us some guardrails, things of not what to say, things to avoid, maybe don't put as much emphasis on. And I have to say, some of this actually surprised me. So there are a few things this research tells us to use carefully if we are going to use it as an argument. The first is don't lead on return on investment. That's that pay now or pay later thinking. We use it a lot when we talk about early care and education or SNAP benefits. Make sure you're paying into these systems now. Otherwise, children could fall through, the cracks and have issues later that end up costing our community more down the line. Research is telling us this does not resonate with lawmakers. It works better as a support and not a headline. So if you want to use it, I'm not saying not to use it, just lead with something else and use this as a support rather than the main focus. Second, avoid using universal language like all families. That puts too wide of a net. When we're talking about these policies, even policies that are broadly available, we want to frame it as families who need support, families who need SNAP, families who would benefit from early care and education programs. We find that this performs better with the audiences that we need to move. And then third, big bundled policy packages raise feasibility concerns. It makes lawmakers think, can we really pass all these things in one package? Lawmakers are much more open to standalone and winnable policies that can build over time. And we have seen this significantly, especially in the South, with paid family and medical leave. Small incremental wins in paid family and medical leave have paid off tremendously rather than trying to move the needle this much, tick, tick, tick. It tends to work better in some communities. So just keep that in mind when you are building your advocacy campaigns and creating the messaging for them. Remember, really what's at the heart of this is increasing your odds of getting in that room, talking to the lawmaker, getting them to really hear you and getting them on board. It might feel, oh man, I'm not saying what I really want to be saying. It feels like I'm watering it down. You're not. You are increasing the odds of getting the policy you care about passed. Next slide. So one way, I'm going to give you guys just an idea of how you could put this into practice. We're not going to go in a breakout room because we've got a small group here today, which I actually really like. But one way that you can put this into practice, and we'll send this exercise in the email, but I want to walk you through it so you know what to do on your own. It's a hands-on exercise. We call it message makeover, what not to lead with. So we just walked through some important overall lessons from the research. Don't lead with the return on investment language or the pay now, pay later arguments, especially with lawmakers. Avoid that universal language like all families when speaking to policymakers. And remember that those standalone winnable policies tend to be more politically durable than big comprehensive packages. Local stories and local proof points are your most powerful tools. So here's the challenge that we would want you guys to do. When you've had some time to digest this content, maybe even read through the guide, when you're sitting back at your desk trying to figure out how do I formulate my message that I want to share with lawmakers. So we'll provide you with a red flag opener. You can use this exact red flag opener, or you can kind of relate it to maybe one of your own red flags. It's the kind of opening line that the research tells us doesn't land well with an audience that we need to move. And then you're going to work to rewrite that using the lesson that we just talked about, using those support messaging that we know is going to help you pass that policy. So some examples that we'll give you in the email are SNAP saves taxpayers money down the road. We're going to pay now or we're going to pay later. We need a policy for free universal childcare for families everywhere. And let's create one comprehensive PN3 system giving babies everything they need. Now we can pick those apart and say what's wrong with each of them. The first one is that return on investment language. That doesn't work. The second is families everywhere, families that need this kind of support. That's the kind of language we should be using. And then the third example is just, it's too big, it's too robust. And while it's wonderful thinking, and I wish we could just wave a magic wand, it's not realistic. And so we'll send those to you. And I would really encourage you to either dissect those and turn those messages that don't work into messages that do work, or examine some of the messaging you're using. Are you falling victim to using overly generic terms to represent your audience? Or are you using that ROI language? Or are you, is the bill you're thinking of putting forward just too big? Really spend some time analyzing and reflecting, and use this guide to help you break those down and correct the messaging so it's something that can actually be passed. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, and actually, Andrea, let's go to the next slide after that, since that other slide was if we were going to do a breakout room. So we know, and the research confirms, that voters aren't a monolith. We say this all the time. Everyone, is different. And while most people already agreed that the prenatal to 3 period matters, support for solutions varies widely depending on people's values, lived experiences, and views on government. This message guide zeroes in on 3 persuadable groups where advocates have had the greatest opportunity to build and sustain support. These segments help us decide how to communicate, not just what to say, but how to communicate, so our messages actually move people toward action. So we're going to make this real. What does this look like? Let's go to the next slide. When you think about a specific audience, so we've got those 3 audiences that I just told you about. So the first one is working class bystanders. They feel the pressures of life most acutely, but they're not deeply engaged in policy conversations. They're focused on making daily trade-offs, like how to pay for childcare, how to pay for healthcare, and how to make those ends meet so that they can provide for their family's basic needs. And what resonates with this group is messaging around fairness, opportunity for their kids, and how policies help parents work and provide. This is not the audience you want to be using a lot of jargon with, or long-term return on investment arguments. Think of these as the kind of people who you might, stop in and have a beer with, where the conversation stays pretty light. The more concrete and immediate the benefit feels, the more likely we are to earn this group's trust. So these are our working class bystanders. Now, the other 2 groups are on the next slide. And this is where discipline really matters, but it's for different reasons. These next 2 groups both require discipline, The conservative PN3 champions already value family and personal responsibility. So our job is to position government as a supportive partner, not a replacement for parents. It's really important that with this group, we focus on specific and winnable policies. And again, um, these are people who already are leaning in our direction. They already understand maybe that strong families equals strong communities mentality. And so making sure that you really hone in on that focus is going to help bring them even closer to your line and hopefully turn that agreement that they already have with you into actual action. Now, the other group, we call those pessimistic skeptics. They're much more fragile supporters. They respond best to practical, near-term outcomes and targeted help, and they disengage quickly when messages feel vague or ideological or overly broad. In both cases, local examples and clear limits to government's role are essential. They are not the people who want to feel like government is going to put on that superhero cape and come in and swoop in to save the day. They want to know government's there as a support, but not as a replacement. So the takeaway is this: the core narrative is going to stay the same, but how we lead, what we emphasize, and the phrasing that we avoid, that all shifts depending on our audience. Now, you might be asking, how do I figure out, where does my decision maker lie? What really helps with this, just a quick tip, is power mapping. Really digging into whoever your lawmaker is, figuring out what policies do they care about, and seeing where they align with you. Where can you find that common ground? So maybe if it's an older lawmaker, do they have a grandchild who might be in that prenatal to 3 space? Or do they have a child who maybe is expecting, who would benefit from paid family and medical leave? If they're a little bit on the younger side, use those same tips. So like, are they do they have children? Could they have taken paid family and medical leave? Do they maybe anticipate putting their children in an early care and education program where they can learn to read and write and get the social enrichment that they need? Find out those types of specifics to find out what you can use to get in the door to talking to them. And then once you dig a bit deeper, you should be able to figure out where they align within these 3 buckets. Next slide, please. So we have another assignment. We'll send this in the email, in the follow-up email. But it's kind of an assignment describing exactly what I just talked to you about, figuring out where those lawmakers that you care about and that you want to connect with, where do they lie? And formulating messages specifically for them. So you have your main message. Workers should have access to paid family and medical leave. But how do you make a working class bystander care about that? Or a conservative prenatal to 3 champion? Or a pessimistic skeptic? So you take your very basic, broad message, and then you get a little bit more specific with each of those buckets. And what's really great about this is you only have to do it once. You do it once for whatever the policy you're going to be working to pass is, and then you can refine it based on the individual lawmakers. But once you have the frame, once you have that core message, you don't really have to tweak that part very much. And so what I really like about this is that you can do this like at the beginning of as you're doing your prep, your ground softening, or as you're leading into a legislative session, and then fine tune it as you need to. Next slide. Now, as I said at the beginning, some of these findings or message research may fall hard for some because they don't suggest what you should say is what you really want to say. And it can feel like you aren't being true to yourself. Many of us advocates, we wear our heart on our sleeve and we want to just say it like it is. Trust me, feel the same way. And it is so difficult to sometimes not say what you want to say. That is the struggle of this type of message research. It's all about what actually works versus what we want to say. And I I think about this. I actually encountered this at home. We're all advocates, whether we're in the office or at home. Trying to advocate my son to play the piano. He didn't want to play yesterday. I wanted to say, I'm spending $40 a lesson. Get your little booty in that room and play that piano. But I knew that wasn't going to work. So I reframed my message. into you've worked really hard and you're getting better. Remember, you couldn't play at all, and now you're pumping out these great tunes. Do you want all that hard work to go to waste? No, and you're getting better. And I was, cheering him on. That got his booty in the seat. So, not saying you want to talk to lawmakers like they're a 7-year-old boy, but sometimes you have to, right? It's what works versus what we really want to say. And so that's where finding commonalities comes in. And it's how we can build the trust we need to have real conversations once we're in those rooms, whether they're virtual rooms or, literal rooms. So finding commonalities is a guide that Voices for Healthy Kids created in response to advocates who wanted to help customize messages and policy asks when working with decision makers who think differently from them. And the skills work regardless of where people fall on the political spectrum, but they particularly work with conservative lawmakers. Now, at its heart, this guide is about meeting people where they are. It's about building trust, understanding values, and finding shared goals so that conversations about prenatal to 3 policies can be productive, respectful, and strategic. Now, Voices for Healthy Kids has long supported campaigns through message development. We do a lot of message development. We just did some on gubernatorial campaigns. We've got this guide. We have a paid family and medical leave messaging guide. We've got lots of these guides. And really the goal is to link you all with national research, state and local studies, and then issue-specific tools. In recent years, our work has intentionally expanded beyond message crafting rather, into developing advocate communication skills, especially around relationship building. We know the political environment is increasingly polarized, and many advocates are feeling depleted or stuck. We actually today, the Voices for Healthy Kids team had a little mental health break where we watched cute videos just because it can feel heavy. The work feels heavy, especially now. We recognize this. And so what we hope is that this guide will make it easier for you to do your job, will hopefully make it so that you're having the results that you want to have. And we're hoping to create a psychologically safe, non-polarizing, and human-centered conversation that you can have. And it's not about abandoning values, but by grounding conversations in shared humanity, curiosity, and strategic compassion. All right, so with that said, really quick, I'm going to show you the archetypes on this next slide. Now, if you haven't participated in a Finding Commonalities training, you really should. We offer them every so often. We've done them in person at our summits and our meetings in person, but you can also do this on your own. We have a guide on our website. We'll be sure to include it in the materials in our follow-up email. But it's a nice way to really understand how more conservative lawmakers are feeling and thinking. So Andrea, if you wouldn't mind, Andrea is my counterpart. She's behind the scenes today, but there's a link in the PowerPoint. Can you plop that in the chat just so people who might be curious about finding commonalities right now, they can see it? And then, like I said, we'll include that in the follow-up. This is a great guide to help you better understand conservative decision makers. And so what we did is we developed 4 archetypes. Now, archetypes are profiles of people who share similar drivers and values. They are not stereotypes, though. So I want to make that very clear because they're meant to really deepen an understanding, not reduce someone to a simplistic label. Now, to help you anticipate motivations, tailor your message, and choose the most effective approach, we've divided conservative lawmakers, I should say, into 4 archetypes. First is church and country. These are our faith leaders or others who are really driven by their faith tradition and community stability. And it often grounds policy views in moral responsibility and personal relationships. They respond best to messages that honor family, service, and shared responsibility. So these are the people, I'm going to use paid family and medical leave as an example. I've got it on my mind today. These are the people who you want to talk about how important it is for bonding, how it relieves the birthing parent when the partner parent is able to stay home for the 6 or 12 weeks to provide support. It's all about the core of that family, making them stronger. That's the kind of argument you would want to use for them. Economic influence, they prioritize economic growth, workforce participation, and market-driven solutions with a strong focus in practicality and outcomes. They're more open to prenatal to three policies when they're framed as supporting workers, employers, and a stable economy. So it's not to say you couldn't talk about how, it's all about supporting the family when you implement a paid family and medical leave policy with this group. But what would be helpful for your argument is to talk about how when businesses, particularly small businesses, have a paid family and medical leave policy, they're more able to compete with larger businesses, which means they can attract better employees and they can retain those employees when they go through a major life event like the birth of a child or the death of a family member. And so talking about that, the economics is going to be important with this group. Legacy Republicans, they value institutions, rules, and pragmatic governance, and they see themselves as responsible problem solvers. They respond well to respectful dialogue, clear policy details, and messages that emphasize stability, feasibility, and incremental progress. We see a lot of this with the paid family and medical leave policies we have in the South with those incremental wins. So we add on a week for if you want to adopt a child. We add on a couple of weeks if you're going to foster a child. That's what appeals to these folks. And then populist aligned. They're deeply distrustful of institutions and experts and highly attuned to fairness, independence, and perceived inequities. They engage most when messages are concrete, locally grounded, and focused on targeted help for families who need it without sounding elitist, abstract, or overly broad. So I've broken down these four archetypes. I'm curious, in the chat, which archetype do you think fits the lawmaker or lawmakers that you're working with right now? Church and country, economic influence, legacy Republican, or populist aligned? And I'll say I'm working with a conservative lawmaker right now in Florida, considering writing an op-ed. I think he's more of a church and country guy. He really is all about family values, the importance of fathers being involved, and I know religion drives a lot of the decision making that he does. So tell us in the chat. And if you're not sure, that's okay too. You can put that in the chat, not sure or a mix. So let's hop over to the next slide, Andrea, and we'll slowly start to wrap things up here. We're kind of combining the message training that we have today with some of our previous message trainings, and that's really what it's all about, right? Is building on that knowledge. So it's important to remember that messaging doesn't live in a vacuum. It lives in relationships. And the finding commonalities approach really gives us a simple way to think about that. So before you go in and you talk to a lawmaker or a decision maker, or even just an audience, like it doesn't even have to be someone who can change policy. Maybe you're going to go in and you're going to talk to a community group or a church group. Before you go in and you talk to whoever your audience is, make sure you identify the archetype. Where do they fall? And then choose the messaging frame that we talked about from this new guide. You want to lead with listening. It's really easy to go into these conversations thinking you know exactly how they're going to respond. And sometimes it's a little self-satisfaction to come out and say, I knew they were going to say that. Don't do that, though. Don't do that. It's self-serving. Instead, lead with listening. Name the values you care about and build a shared space by finding that common ground. What do you care about that they also care about? And then afterwards, you want to follow up with clear, realistic next steps. What can they do to take action? What is the next step? Providing people with that next step really takes some of the guesswork out, and it can make it really easy for them. This is how you turn what you say, the messages you're bringing, into actual momentum. And finding common ground does not mean giving up on your values. If anything, it's anything but that. It means your values are so important to you that you are willing to go in leading with curiosity rather than what you think they're going to say, and pass that policy that is important to you. It means creating conversations where your values can be heard. When you lead with curiosity and an open ears, ready to listen, that is where you can be heard and where you can continue that momentum to pass those policies that you want to see written into law. So by understanding decision maker archetypes, using non-polarizing communications, and approaching advocacy with curiosity and compassion, I know it's hard, I feel the same way, we can build stronger relationships and ultimately advance the prenatal to three policies that we want to see the communities we live in have and the communities that are far from us have. Now, we're going to make sure you have links to all of these resources. We'll follow up via email with all of the message guide, not only this message guide, but some of the other message guides that we included, as well as some of those writing prompts that I think could really help you when you're shaping the messages that you want to be using, whether it's in a testimony or an op-ed or a one-pager. But as I close us out, I want to know, practically, what does all of this mean for a campaign? Here's how we envision you using this guide. And as you use it, you're going to come up with new ways to use it. So first off, use this new messaging guide as a menu, not a script. Pick and choose what you like and what is going to work for you. It's not prescriptive, and it's not going to be one size fits all. Tailor the messages to your state or community, your coalition, and your policymakers. You, as an organization or a coalition, get to decide your goals and your messaging. Pair national messages with local proof points and stories whenever possible. People care about what's happening in their communities, and that extends to lawmakers, of course. Lean into those trusted messengers. Who are they, and how can you work with them? Think business leaders, faith leaders, health providers, people who can really validate these frames with the audiences you may not reach alone. Now, an activity we did on one of our Power Prism, if you're not familiar with the Power Prism, head over to the NCIT website. There's a ton of resources there. But Power Prism is an incredible tool in helping you shape some of these messages. And one activity we did that I really liked was we went into ChatGPT or any other AI tool that you like and asked it to help us figure out who are non-traditional partners that we could work with. And the list was astounding. So if you aren't sure who those business leaders are, who those faith leaders could be, or who those health providers might be as allies, go into an AI chat tool, write a little bit about your organization. You could even just paste your mission statement and ask it to make a list of who are some non-traditional, maybe even opposition organizations or individuals who I could recruit to work on this campaign. Because chances are they're going to have connections to people you don't, and that can, again, help you move that needle. You're going to want to focus on clear near-term wins for families that policymakers can see and stand behind. Again, those incremental wins are what they care about. And the takeaway, it really is this. People already believe families deserve better support in their earliest years. The research shows us that. When we show what's doable and talk about it in the right way, we can make progress more possible. And that's what this is all about. The research really helps us tell the same story, one that meets families where they are, reflects shared values, and moves prenatal to three policy from agreement to action. And so with that, I'm going to go to the next slide and turn it over to you guys. Do you have any questions? I've kind of thrown a lot of data and research at you, but do you have any specific questions about the campaigns you're working on, or maybe even questions about this specific messaging guide? And before you go away, I forgot about this part. Please take this brief survey. Our funders like to hear from you. They want to hear how you like these types of trainings, how we could be doing better. And so if you could fill out this brief survey while you are thinking about some of these questions you might have, I would greatly appreciate it. And what I'm going to do while you fill that out is I'm just going to put my contact information in the chat. So we will, like I said, follow up with you afterward. But if you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to me. As an NCIT member, as a Voices for Healthy Kids grantee, as a person in the advocacy space, um, we as NCIT are here to support you. So we offer one-on-one consultancy in a variety of ways. It can be communication, social media, grassroots, campaign support, whatever that looks like to you, where you feel like you need the help, please reach out to us. We really love being able to provide that one-on-one consultancy and guide you through the process and kind of take some of the work off your plate. So if you would ever need that, please email me directly and I'll get you connected to the right person. So I'm going to open the floor. I'll stop talking now. I talk a lot. So I'll open the floor to you guys. See if you have any questions. Okay. Well, why don't we wrap? He's 17 minutes early, give you guys some time back on this Thursday afternoon. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for coming and listening and learning, and most importantly, hopefully implementing some of this. And if you do implement it, let us know. We would love to hear how you're using this in the real world. Have a great afternoon.